everyone, and welcome to round number 12 here from the Chinese Grand Prix for PGS Tier 2. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Looking forward to a good day's racing. We arrive at the Chinese Grand Prix, looking a bit of a dull affair at the moment. We could potentially see some rain, who knows? 9 drivers contesting this Grand Prix here tonight, here at the Shanghai International Circuit. A track with a lot of heritage and history. Before we get to that, of course, we are looking at the constructors and driver standings as we got a car leaving the pit lane. That would be a Ferrari. It's probably Lawson. Indeed, it is Lawson. We'll stay on board with the Ferrari driver while we head round the standings. So the driver standings as they look, the Aston Martin driver of Gulias still leads the standings. There's a little bit of a moment there for Lawson, having a little bit of a moment through the first couple of corners, first complex. Gulias leads the standings on 177 points, 20 points clear of Wombat, who we haven't seen for a few weeks. Unfortunately, for him, he's been a little bit MIA, probably for his own reasons, of course. Mel in third, obviously not here tonight either, on 117. The other Aston Martin driver of GV in fourth. Both Aston Martins here tonight, so another good opportunity for Aston Martin to pull away further in the constructors. Jesper in 77 points, with Bulk not too far behind on 69. Looking like the Red Bull driver with a good haul of points tonight could get himself into a position to go into P5. Same with Lawson as well, 65 points, only about a few points further behind. Then we've got Razam on 61, all very close in that bracket between 5th and 8th. Then Hysteria in 9th, picking up, I believe, his second podium of the season last week out in Las Vegas. Then 10th, rounding out the top 10 on the same amount of points, but not here tonight, is David Scott in the first of the two McLarens. Not here tonight either. Hazard not been seen for a few weeks. On 47, Tiger not here tonight either. He's on 41. Carlson Andres 38. Costasar in 14th here tonight, I do believe. Yes, he is. On 32, not too far behind the Haas driver in 13th and 14th. Then in a bit of a Summerja, Alex Alt not in 15th and 22, the same as Initiate, not here tonight either. Vinan 17 on 15 points, then Gent on 12, and then Wolfie on 11, and then Jeremy, and bringing up the rear at the moment on 10 points. The constructors' standings as they stand, it is Aston Martin on 269 points. Very consistent season from the Aston Martin team. Both drivers here most of the time, and that really does help them out in terms of how they go about the business of winning the constructors as well as winning the drivers looking like this season so far. Racing Bulls on 234, not had drivers for a few weeks, has the Visa Cash App RB team. So unfortunate there for them. Ferrari on 182, just with Lawson this week. That pairing, when they have been together, Lawson and Mel, have looked very good. I'll be up to Lawson to bring up the mantle for Ferrari this week. I believe he's on he's on a slow down lap anyway, but he will be the first one to cross the line to set a lap time. It will be a little bit slower, and he will probably go again. McLaren in 4th, with a tight battle with Red Bull and Alpine for P4. 86 points for McLaren, 84 for Red Bull, and 73 for Alpine. So very close battle for that midpoints in the constructors. In 7th it is Haas on 60 points. Then Kicksauber on 41, Williams on 21, and Mercedes on 11, bringing up the rear in the constructors for the time being. As I believe the next car to probably finish up on a lap is going to be Bulk, going down this massive 1 kilometer long back straight, where you will see one of the two DRS zones here tonight in the race itself, depending on if it's dry or not, of course. looking at these conditions, we could potentially see some rain. Who knows? Looking at just how wet it is currently, just how overcast rather it is currently looking. Evening in the chat. Hopefully you're doing well there, Jevi. Look forward to seeing how you get on in the race itself. Bob goes into third. He does a 33.7 for himself there. I believe the next car to come across is the championship leader at the moment. So we'll see what Gulas can do as he comes towards the final couple of corners. So bring up a sort of quick overview of the entire circuit as a whole. A 16 corner circuit as Gulas does a 32.2 to go to the top of the leaderboard. So nice one there. Hysteria does a 32.6. Wanting to carry on his podium streak from last week and take his third podium of the season, having got one as a reserve and one as a full-time for the Williams team, which he, I believe, debuts in last week. Nice to see, obviously, Gent back as well. I believe he has had, I don't believe he was here last week as well, so nice to see what he can possibly do as Wolfie. Currently the last of the runners in the driver standings on 11 points, looking to make his impression. Obviously only 9 drivers here tonight, so there is an opportunity for drivers to score points that maybe would not normally score points, more points than they normally would, obviously on the standard points system. So 25 points for a race win and 1 point for P10. But we will get on onboard lap with someone. We'll actually see if we can find him. Jevi's on a lap just in about a few moments time, which I believe he will be going on to, so we'll go on board with the Aston Martin driver who will take us round a lap of this circuit here, the Chinese Grand Prix. As the Mercedes driver, the only Mercedes driver, heads round to the final corner. So what can the Mercedes driver do as across the line at 33.9, currently last of the runners at the moment with the time 33.9 for him. We'll go on board with the Aston Martin, who will be taking us around a lap time of this circuit. So let me just get a few of these off the screen. There we go. Anyway, coming around to turns number 16, I do believe, and in towards turn number 1 with the DRS enabled down towards the start-finish straight. Next few corners are important to your lap time to put it all together and not lose any momentum as you go into the complex of turns 1, 2, 3 and 4. All very close together and all can affect your lap time very, very heavily. If you're not careful, you can lose a lot of time coming out there. Gotta be careful not to have too much fuel spin as you come out there, as you can lose time coming out of there. Now in towards the kink at turn 5 and into sector 1 split into sector 2, turn number 6. Through the right-hander now through the long flowing left-hander of turn number 7, and which then leads into turns number 8 and number 9, and into the very tight corner of turn 10, the left-hander. The mini straight where you may see drivers trying to pull a few potential games, trying to see if they can drivers to overtake as he goes into turns 11 and 12. Got to be careful of traction coming out of turn 12 here as well, and towards the long flowing, long banked right-hander. If you're not careful, you will lose the back end if you've not got enough grip here, as you will see the DRS enabled, or the DRS enabled in the race, and the DRS being used in qualifying here down this kilometre long back straight and in towards turn number 14. A little bit wide as you come out there and in towards turn 15, and then we come back into turns number 16 to end the lap. And what is it going to be for the Aston Martin driver as he goes across the line and does a 1 minute 32.8 with the quickest final sector for the Aston Martin driver. So a nice lap time there for the Aston Martin driver and good benchmark time. Excuse that. As Gent does 31 as well, and I believe Kustasser will be coming to the line through the long banked corner of turn number 13. No corner names, no corner names as such, it's just corner turns, so that's why they're referred to just as that. Even false, I think it would be in Chinese, it would be impossible to actually read. One of the two hardest languages to learn alongside Japanese, I do believe, in terms of your learning languages. Because that's our to the line. I believe he is not on a flyer. Yes, he is. 32.8. Did not seem like he was on a flyer of a lap there, but yes, he was. I believe Bulk is coming around to start on his lap, another lap for the Red Bull driver through turns number 16. Down the straight using the battery and the DRS as he heads in towards the complex of turns 1 to 4. And as I say, a place that can make or break your lap here in qualifying. Important to get good traction here, and something I noticed, especially on controller earlier on in this game, is you had to be so careful when putting down powers. I've just noticed he's a lot. That's an interesting line there from Bulk, and only a front wing loss there. He's still in there and gets an invalidated lap for his shovels as well. Coming out of turn 4, not getting the right line there at all, and he will now have to come back to the pits, and that is kind of a new set of tyres is going to be required there for that. So we'll go on board with the championship leader of Gulias, who is just started on his lap, taking a much better line through turns number 4, or the exit of turn 4, going through the King of 5, improving by 1/10 of a second on his first sector split. Purple, of course, because he currently does have the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And a weekend like this is probably an opportunity for Gulias to pull away in terms of using this as an opportunity to pull away even further in the championship. Obviously, he has a 20-point gap already in the championship standings in terms of drivers. And of course, Aston Martin are looking imperious in the constructors now, obviously with RB or Visa Cash App not having had drivers for the last few weeks, so it really has been the opportunity for Aston Martin to pull away in the constructors. As we still watching the Aston Martin driver Gulias heading down the long back straight, 1 kilometre long of the entire lap distance you go around here, as he heads round to turn number 16 and down towards. Obviously, got to be careful if you go too wide out of there, you will invalidate your lap if you go outside of those white lines there, and it's a 31.5. That is quite the benchmark for the Aston Martin driver, and he's got about 5.5 minutes to potentially go again. Stewart backing off into the pits, no improvements for the American, currently in second place in his second race for Williams. On board with Razam, currently your only driver on track at the moment. The other American in the tier 2 field that is known of. Just under 5.5 minutes left to go here in qualifying here for the Chinese Grand Prix here in tier 2 at PGS. Razam is about to limber up for a fastest lap. It's his first lap attempt. Must have had an invalidation or an issue on his first run. So, first run, here we go for Razam. Let's see what he can do on his first run. Sorry about that. So the Alpine driver heading through the complex of turns 1 to 4. That is the yellow flag in sector 3, but I think that's just for Gulias going back to the pit lane, as both of the Alpines are out a little bit earlier in their final runs here. I'm not sure whether or not the Alpines will be able to get back in time and do another lap, so this potentially might be the final gambits for both of the two Alpines. Of course, this will be the only gambit, if that's in this case of the Alpine currently on board with Razam. Not with a lap time on the board yet, so the Alpine driver still trying to make his impression and see where he can put himself on the board in terms of times. Purple middle sector split for the American driver. Obviously, you do need to be careful of having a good amount of straight line speeds for the straights here, especially this one coming up here, where you will have the DRS in the race about halfway down the straight. Is where the detection zone, I believe, is just at the end of second sector split, and you get about halfway down this, well, 3/4 of the way down this down this long back straight. Good exit coming out of there. A nice clean entry into that corner right there. That one being 14 and 15. But coming around to complete, he does a 32.4. So a nice lap time there for the first of the two Alpines, and now the second of the two Alpines is coming towards the first sector split, 6,000ths of a second up for Gent, the Belgian. Not been seen, I believe, for a few weeks as Gent, so looking forward to seeing how he gets on in this field. Obviously, wonders there might be a little bit of rustiness. Actually, so let me have a quick check to make sure if he wasn't actually here as of last week on last week's race results. No, he was not here last week. I believe the last time Gent was actually here in terms of the race would have been back at, I think we're going back even further, around about round 8. No, I don't think he was here for that one either. Looks like it's even further back than that, so he has missed quite a few rounds here. Yeah, it looks like it was about round 6 since we last seen him racing, so nice to see the Belgian back in the race seat as he heads around the final corner. What is it going to be? 32.9. He goes into P7 as we're going to see who's next. I believe Steer's currently on a lap themselves. Castas are on an out lap just ahead, so this is going to be the first car of maybe the final runs here in this session with 1 minute 50 on the clock here in qualifying. This is Hysteria in the Williams in, as I say, his second round only, coming through towards the end of second sector split through 11 and 12 here, and in towards the long banks right-hander of 13. That is Razam done. Obviously that was his only gambit of the session, so P2 will be his best if no one dethrones him from the front row. Down the long back straight, where you'll probably see cars reaching 200 miles an hour plus down that long straight there with DRS in the race, depending on obviously the wings that the cars are of course running. But the Williams driver on his final run, what is it going to be in this qualifying session? Nice tidy exit off that final corner, and it's going to be a 32.2. Marginally, about 2/10 beats Razam and goes on to the front row and responds to where he was beforehand. Bulk on an out lap, so he will not be the next car to cross the line. So it's going to be, is it going to be Gent? He's on an in lap, so we're going to go on board with, I think that's cars starting on laps. Gent is currently, he is going for yet another lap, so that'll be interesting. He must have enough fuel to go again. A lot of cars on just the starters of their laps. I think Gulas is indeed on another lap. He indeed has just started. Castasser will be the first car to come across the line, so we'll go on board with the Greek driver, just up by in this middle sector split by just over a 10th for himself. Not a purple, but it is a personal best for Castasser, currently on a 32.8. For the McLaren driver, a little bit of a rearward motion there. Is there going to be improvements off of that? Nope, that rear end wiggle cost him a little bit of time across the line, and he remains in P6 for the time being. Steer is going to be coming towards the line, so he's going to be not on an improvement of a lap. He's coming into the pits. Bulk about 8/10 up on his first lap time, a 33.7 as he's through middle sector split down the long back straight, just coming out of turn 13, coming in towards 14 and 15. The left hand, the right hander, and the little kink which leads into turn 16 as the Red Bull driver comes towards the line. So we'll see what he can do as he comes to the line through turn 16. What is it going to be for the Red Bull driver? It's going to be an improvement in lap time, of course, 32.4, or 6 rather. 1.1 seconds of improvement, and he improves to P4, just behind Razam. Jevi is not on an improvement of lap time. Gulas having missed that, he's gone quicker again, 31.1. So the gap between the top two is 1.1 seconds. That's quite the margin in qualifying. That's almost Senna and Prost levels at the 1990 Monaco Grand Prix levels of dominance there from Gulas in the Aston Martin. And as long as he can keep himself out of trouble in the race, I think he may well be in a great position to make a stake a claim in what will be. I think we've only got about 4 rounds left in the season. If we just have a quick check of the calendar still remaining. Looking at it, yeah, so we're on round 12 just now, and only another 3 rounds left to go after this. So the season will be wrapping up and reaching its crescendo and end result coming up very soon. But of course, yeah, it is indeed the Aston Martin driver on pole position. Not the first time he's been on pole this season, and has been in trouble before, so will be looking to keep himself out of trouble. Sharing the front row alongside him will be Hysteria in the Williams, 1.1 behind. Only 2/10 behind him is his fellow compatriot in the Alpine of Razam. And 4th is Bulk, 5th for Lawson, 6th for Jevy, 7th for Castasser, 8th for Gent on his return, and Wolfie at the back is in 9th on the Mercedes. A little bit off, about a second off of 8th place, but if he can keep himself within the points, he will keep himself in the race. He should be in a great position to score some much needed points for at least his championship, of course, down at the bottom. A much more blue sky affair in terms of the race itself. Obviously 28 laps of racing to come ahead of the drivers. Going to be, well, easy places to potentially pick up warnings and penalties on certain places around this track, but not as easy, I don't think, to do as most tracks. But potential places where we might see overtaking here. That long back straight coming out of turn 13, that's going to be a great opportunity. Coming down in towards turn 16 into turn 1. You can go side by side through the first sort of complex up to about turn 4. You might lose a little bit of time, but it will be a chance to make that happen. That little kink from 4 down to turn 6 is also an opportunity, and into turn 7 and 8 I think you can also make a move if you're alongside and have the space of the car alongside you. And maybe into turns 11 and 10 and into turns 10 at the exit of 10 and into 11, but I don't think we're going to see anyone making moves there, because then you leave yourself exposed for the long back straight, the 1 kilometer long back straight as part of this track. But the drivers just selecting their strategies for the race, having a quick look as we are going to be getting underway. There we go. It is race. We're going to be underway here at the Shanghai International Circuit here. 5 red lights, and it's away we go. Good start from Mysterio. A little bit of wheel spin from Gillis as he gets a decent launch. Not any movements there. Let's see what everyone has opted to start on. It's a mix of mediums and hard, mostly medium, as Bulk goes side by side with Razam, the American, the second of the Americans, losing position round the outside. Those hard tyres will take a little bit to come up to temperatures. Bulk gets the move done round the outside, and that's Lawson trying to make a move as well, just a little bit behind him, because Stasser, the Greek driver, making a move down the inside. Is he going to be down the inside? That's a little bit of a dive bomb further back. That's Gent having a little bit of a moment, but Stasser is up the inside as he makes the move into P5 for the time being on lap number 1, and looking to go after Razam in the Alpine for P4, and that's a mistake there. I think that's actually some lag there from the Alpine there rather than a mistake, but he is a little bit out of position, and Castasser is up the inside, not in a place I was thinking there was going to be a move. That's going to be Lawson going side by side with Razam in towards the complex of 11 and 12, as there's a little bit of rearward motion there, as Lawson now is going to get a good exit coming off of here, using a little bit of the battery. You've got to be careful, that was on through the middle of the corner there. You've got to be careful that you're not going to lose the back end of the car. Both between the front two, but Bulk has split a little bit as we're going to have slipstream down the straight. Here goes Lawson. Is he going to try and make a move down the inside? He's going to run out of battery. Is he going to try and send it down the inside as a Ferrari driver? No, he's not. Too far back there. As there is Jevy up there as well, trying to make a move as Razam down to 7th, so not a good start there from the Alpine driver on the hard compound tyres. Those tyres not up to temperature as of yet, very wide there coming out of that corner as well, and his teammate just behind him now as well as Gent. You wouldn't be expecting that at the beginning of the lap, but it looks like everyone has closed up a little bit. It's Hysteria. We're going to back to the battle at the front. It is still Jevy holding on, Julius holding on to the lead of the Grand Prix from Hysteria in the Williams. Very close together are those two, about a second, just about hanging on to second there is Bulk in third, with Kastasar following in the cocktails just behind, and Lawson in fifth. Jevi in sixth, just behind Razam in seventh, dropping down a few positions off the start, and Gent in eighth. And we'll see some change of position between those two. Don't think there was any change of position, as I just saw that gap go up just a little bit, so there must have been maybe a near miss there for the second of the two Alpines. But Hysteria looking with the, obviously DRS enabled now. That's obviously we're going to see not a lot of movements now until we see people going for moves. You can see quite a few people just in that one camera shot there as Hysteria is looking to line up a move down the inside. He's got to be careful if he's of a car behind as well in Bulk, as he's about half a second behind, although this exit here will be crucial for how you approach this, as you're going to see the DRS there 5 or 6. You see how many cars are just in this one shot there. That's an amazing shot. Everyone within the sort of same space and frame. Hysteria down the inside makes the move for the lead of the Grand Prix. That will be a chance for Gulas to come back at him. Is Bulk going to try and send it down the inside? Nope, he is not, but he has a massive near miss. Obviously nearly hit the back of second place now Gulias, but just manages to avoid hitting the back of him, and Kastasar was thinking about making a move there, as that's a wide Aston Martin coming out of the corner there. That was Jevi and Razam. Razam now trying to make his way back through after what was a terrible start there, is Jevi trying to make a move. The Portuguese driver trying to make his way through past on Lawson. Crucial to get a good run out of here is Lawson on the hard compound tyres. Those tyres are going to still not be quite in the temperature range where they want to be yet. A good exit there from Lawson. They're coming off the corner there, and there's going to be a little bit of pressure behind for Razam on the back of Jevi, but nothing is going to be made there on that particular motion. As very close there's that is Gent under pressure at the back of the field there from Wolfie, as Wolfie making his I believe back after what is maybe a couple of races away himself, not having scored that many points this season, will be looking to put some points on the board in this race, as he's going to get in a good run coming out of there. Great little camera shot you can see there. You can see all the way from Lawson up there, as Lawson's kind of split away a little bit. Gulas has fell away as Hysteria looks like is in a great position here, trying to pull away. Still going to have the DRS, of course, is Gulas, so he will still be able to keep himself within that 1 second zone, as Razam trying to make a move, but Jevi's just a bit further ahead at the moment, so you're just seeing the DRS train in effect at the moment. He tries to pull out of the slipstream just ahead, but Jevi's not going to be close enough to make a move. That's two of the two Alpines getting very close together, but they've managed to avoid contact there. And not breaking rule number 1 of hitting your own teammate, as Gulas and Hysteria go side by side for the lead of the Grand Prix. That's a move made, and one of the places I was thinking a move would be made with the DRS, and in towards turn number, the complex of turns 1 to 4, as Kastasar in 4th is trying to make a move on Bulk. 1.5 seconds, almost down the inside there, so he's going to be cheeky and put his nose in there. He's got this, he's entitled to the space once he gets alongside, side by side between the McLaren and the Red Bull. Who's going to come out on top here? So he goes round the outside. Kastasar, is he going to have more grip round the outside? Little bit of a wheel barging there as they go side by side, but it's going to be better exit round the outside for Kastasar, and he makes move into P3. Great start there from the McLaren driver, the only McLaren driver here tonight, as David Scott is once again not in action tonight. The Australian driver, the group driver, as I say, will be under pressure here for the DRS to make the move. As I say, you will need to be within, I think, around about half a second or less to make a move. You can see that massive train of cars as well a little bit further back. That's Lawson now, who's fell behind Jevi. I think that was a move made into turns number 1, just for the complex of turns 1 to 4. So coming into the entrance of 1, I think is where that move was made, and a little bit further back this time round, as Hysteria is about 9 tenths behind at the moment. A lot of the action, as I say, is down the back of this field, as Jevi's trying to hold on to P5 for the time being, as Lawson trying to make a move down the inside, the lone Ferrari here tonight. Down the inside he goes, but he runs a little bit wide. That's going to be a chance for Jevi to come back, and that's definitely going to be a move made back down the inside, as Razam thinks about a move down the inside as well, but Razam does not manage to make his way through a little bit too far back, as Gent as well on his teammate was thinking about a move down the inside, and you can see how close it is just there. Razam and Lawson side by side, making a move down the inside, as Lawson's going to be down to P8 if he's not careful here. Razam trying to make his way through. All very close affair here for the battle for P5. Jevi holding up a huge train of cars here. He's like a cork in the bottle here for what is the battle for P5. Gap at the front of Mimo still about 9/10 of a second, and there's Asterius holding on just about to the range as Gent tries to go round the outside in the Alpine, but there's going to be nothing happening there, and the Belgian driver has to settle in behind for what is currently P8 for the time being, as Wolfie's fell a little bit out of that range of the DRS, as the DRS is going to be incredibly important around here. We're keeping yourself in check with the cars in front. That's why Hysteria is holding on to just about for the time being that 1 second zone, about 9/10 on the fringes, but has dropped out there as Wolfie's your first driver to pick up a penalty, I suspect, on the exit of turn 10. As I'm going to be very close here between Razum and Lawson, as I say, that's going to be a move made as well. Buck a little bit further ahead as well, 2/10 of a second is the gap. Is he going to make a move down the inside? Yes, he is. It's going to be easy move made by the Red Bull driver, DRS assisted of course. Down the inside he goes, and that's a great little battle going on behind as well. You can see how close that is all behind. Very close there to making contact was Kostasa with the rear of Bulk there, but Bulk does get the move done in the end, and will hold onto the position for the moment. But will there be a response here from Kostasar in towards turn number 1? I don't believe there will be, unless he can get moved down the inside, or if he can get close enough. But you do need to be careful of that line as Razam and Jevi once again go side by side. Those two making their as Razam back into P5, trying to recover back his positions. But once you get involved in a DRS train battle and you end up being out of 1 second of the cars ahead, it's effectively a vicious cycle of you basically get stuck within that range and you end up with issues of your own. In terms of that, as Razam, that's a very big lock up there as he was heading through and needed to, not wanting to do that, well, adding more tyre wear onto those tyres than already does on those hards. Obviously he'll be going a little bit longer, but very close still is the Aston Martin driver, and that's Gullis up the inside. As Gullis spun, yes he has, there's been a little, once again, I don't know what happened, I'm not seeing exactly what's happened. Hysteria has retaken the lead. Gullis lost about 4 seconds in all of that, so I don't know what's happened. I wonder if he's had a little bit of a moment with the curb, or if there's been some contact with the potential contact anyway with the Williams driver of Hysteria. As Hysteria now leads by 4 seconds. This has allowed Bulk a chance at the championship leader, but there's going to be nothing there doing for the moment, and Gullis will potentially have some red mist in that cockpit with what's happened there. But yeah, as that's going to be move change for P6, as Lawson is down 2 positions, also losing a position to Gent, the Belgian driver, making his way through into P7 for the time being is the Alpine, now looking to try and see if we can move into turn number 1, going to the outside. This is the line you do want, the inside line is quite tight, you can go side by side through here. But you will be hung at Strider. That's the inside line if you can make it work. But Lawson, that's very opportunistic around the outside for him on Gent, once again retaking the position that he lost beforehand, or one of the two that he lost beforehand, and gains back into P7 for the Ferrari driver as they head into the first sector split. It runs a little bit wide though, so it's going to be a chance though, but Gent is not close enough to be making it at the back of the field. Still hanging in there, 2.3 behind Gent at the moment. As Kostasar now, once again, trying to have a go down the inside, as very wide moment there from Bulk, going to cost him some time. Kostasar is going to try and go down the inside, nope, he wants the DRS, so he is going to wait for the overtake as they come through turn at number 13, the long banked right-hander. Got to watch out for the cameras, you come on the top here, coming out of here. Gullis has already managed to get the gap up to 1.7 seconds once again after that mistake from himself, well, mistake potentially that he made earlier on. It's down the inside is once again the Greek driver of Kostasar and McLaren at DRS assisted once again down the inside, and you're going to see a lot of those changes as we head on to lap number 8 of 28 with 20 to go here. And shine up a little bit wide there, as I believe Bulk made a little bit of a mistake actually. No, he's going into the pits, so early box for the Red Bull driver, as we're going to have a change of position. Lawson side by side once again with Gent, the Belgian driver and the English driver going side by side. Wolfie has retired in the pit lane, so no further action will be taken from Wolfie. So unfortunate for himself, as Bulk is in the pits for set for compound tyres, taking 20 laps to the end of the Grand Prix. But no further action for the lone Mercedes here this weekend, so they will remain rooted to the bottom of the constructors for another round until maybe potentially next week. That yellow flag, just ignore the yellow flag, that's just the car coming back out of the pits. It's just one of those foibles really of the game that it does that. Still the battle for P5 meanwhile is close on track. Razam 1.3 seconds behind Stasser, so out of DRS range Jevy, with company behind that being Lawson and Gent. Lawson on the hards obviously going a little bit longer, a little bit wide coming out of that corner. Going to be a chance for the second of the two Alpines to make a move here as he goes to the end. He's not gone to the inside yet, saving battery, not opting to use the battery, saving a little bit as he goes. He's thinking is he going to go down the inside, or is he going to have enough straight line speed to go down the inside as Gent? No, he's not able to make the move down the inside. Good straight line speed there from the Ferrari in front of Lawson. Must be running a little bit lower on the wing setup and being a little bit more slippery. Straight line, you've got to be careful, as I say, with those lines, because those lines, that's the weird thing with those lines, is that if you run wide like that, you will not pick up a track extension warning. However, if you do the same thing as Lawson tries to go down the inside of Jevy, doesn't quite work out on this occasion. Nearly made contact with the rear of the Aston Martin, currently holding staunchly in P5. But it's kind of one of those strange things where you can go massively off track and slow down, and you will not pick up a warning. However, if you do this, if you go slightly off, it will just give you a warning anyway. It's just one of those really sort of stupid things with the game, of course. Not really much you can really do on that one, unfortunately. As the he actually fell out of 1 second of DRS there, saving a little bit of battery charge. Glad to use a fair bit to keep himself ahead, as Stasser now picks up a penalty from the cars remaining in the field. Of course, we know we'll get the penalty before fortunately leaving the session down the inside. That's going to cost time there as they go side by side coming out of turn 12 and into turn 13. The long right-hander of turn 13 through the banking, and a good exit coming off of there. However, Lawson is going to get the DRS, but he's almost no charge and he's completely out. So he's going to be in trouble here from Gent, who may well have a little bit more deployment here, but has once again not been able to get past all the lights blinking here. Maybe a little bit of not much deployment here. There is a change of position. Just a little bit of a head. That's Lawson, as I say, getting the position on Jevy into P6, or P5 rather. A little bit wide from the Ferrari driver, though. That's going to be a chance for the second of the Astons to go round the outside. And going to make a move around the outside. No ERS really left for him either. Almost contact. Yes, there was contact. The Ferrari driver does save it, but has lost a whole load of, well, hasn't really lost too much time, but probably potentially change of new underwear after all of that, with the amount of sliding that was being done there from the Ferrari driver. Rather than now a little bit further ahead, putting the pressure on Kostasser. Kostasser has fell a little bit out of range. The medium tyres soon going to be dropping off, I would think, on that McLaren ahead. Hysteria still leads by 5.4 seconds after that mistake from Goulas. It was very close between those two, as Hysteria was hanging on to around about 1 second gap. It's now 5.6 at the moment, so it may well be on Goulas to potentially go for a potential undercut. See if he can make that one work for himself. The Portuguese driver trying to get past, retake the lead from the American, currently leading in the Williams, as we're going to see potentially a change of position as Kostasser trying to hold on to position here. But with how long this back straight is, unless you've got some good straight line speed, it's really kind of fighting a fruitless battle here if you're going to use a lot of battery. Down the inside goes Razam into third. So he's back into P3, side by side. There's a little bit of contact there. I think he's let him go back through. I think they got stuck on each other. So no, he's not. There's Kostasser has got stuck on his car. I think there was a little bit rude there potentially. Not quite enough space left. That may well be the reason why Kostasser may well have comments to be made after that in the steering room. We will have to see. Kostasser does hold on to fourth place from Gent at the moment. Gent on the hards as well. So we'll have to see if that move from Razam is in the steering room afterwards. As Gent meanwhile still keeping himself close to the back of the McLaren. sorry about that. Just have to go in the room there for a brief second. Anyway, the battle for fourth still raging on between Castacer and Gent. They're going to go side by side. The Belgian thinking about going side by side, but decides not to in the end, as Gent a little bit wide, and it now reforms into a 4-car battle here with Castacer, Gent, Jevy, and Lawson. All in the battle for P4 in the moment, because Castacer would lose that 4th place. With how much, with that 3-second time penalty, as Gent's down the inside. Finally managed to get moved down the inside, as it's going to be a move potentially for Jebby as well, but he has to fend himself back into position, and Lawson sending it down the inside and getting the position for the time being down the inside, and the Aston Martin driver decides stop to, once again, very wide there from Lawson, as Castacer is into the pits after 10 laps on the medium compound tyres. Onto the hards he will go, and to the end of the Grand Prix. The undercuts now starting to come into effect for drivers on the mediums, as the three hard runners, well, the 2 hard runners and some medium runner all very close together. Of course, now is Lawson trying to make a move down the inside. Lawson with not a lot of battery to use at his disposal, as you can see, trying to see how close he can get, see if he can put some pressure on the Belgian driver, currently in 4th. Obviously we know these drivers here will be going on to the mediums for their second stint. Obviously the hard tyres can go for a really long time, as I thought he was going to send it down the inside. There was the Ferrari, but Lawson in the end does not decide to do that, as that has cost him a little bit of time, and Jevy on his medium, still in a decent condition, is currently making his way through, or trying to make his way through. He's currently in P6. Looking at it at the moment in terms of position gains, Gent is your biggest winner, currently 4 pit stops up 4, and your biggest loser currently Bulk, who's down 3, but he is in the pits, so he's been through the pit lane, so not really much to be said on that one. And that's your 2 penalty situation there, as Lawson is down the inside of Gent and into 4th, but Lawson is out wide, does not seem to be able, is struggling to make apexes, which makes me think he's on a lower drag setup. Are they going to go side by side here? Yes, they are. That was incredibly close, as Gent has to take avoiding action there to avoid getting a puncture off the rear of that car, as that's Jevy down the inside of Lawson, trying to go from left to right there, but there's not really anything doing, as it's a bit of a wide moment coming through there. That's how easy it is to do that. If you outbrake yourself to that one, it puts you out of position for the next sort of few corners, or just in that little complex of corners as Bulk makes his way through on Gulias. Bulk on those 5-lap old hards already, making his way past on the championship leaders. Lawson tries to make a move down the inside, but for the time being, once again, cannot make a move here. And Gent, as I say, feeling the pressure a little bit. He's under the cosh here from the Ferrari, but does get a good exit. However, that is going to be a move for Jevy into 4th, with a little bit of a mistake from the Ferrari driver of Lawson. As Lawson, as I say, you've got to be careful with not, when you drive at 110%, 110% at all times, it's one of those things you have to be careful of not making mistakes, because the driver behind, if they're close, will pounce on those mistakes as such. As Jevy get across the grass, clipping it there a little bit in turns 11 and 12 as we head through turns 13. That's given a chance for Gent to get away. 1.3 seconds is the gap, but I don't think Lawson's going to have enough charge. No, he's completely out already, so Lawson needs to save a little bit. His Hysteria is into the box for a set of the hard compound tyres, as we're still on board with this battle for what's currently P5, or P4 for the moment, as Gulas gets past, as both the drivers come into the pits, as Gulas indeed does get the job done. But I think there's been a little bit of contact once again between the two of them. They go side by side. Is there going to still be a side by side? Yes, there is. Gulas, this is not ideal for him, as Razam, where's Hysteria going to be coming out of the pits? I think Hysteria's already out of the pits, so Gulas is in P5 at the moment. Hysteria is about quite a bit up the road actually, so that's not worked quite as well as it was hoping there, that undercut there. So the overcut having done the job for Hysteria, still in the lead of the Grand Prix. We'll have to see obviously if there was anything that did unfortunately unfold, as we reach round about half distance here, coming up to lap number 14 here of 28 here at the Shanghai International Circuit. as these two continue to battle as Gulas on his 5-lap younger hard compound tyres is Lawson onto the mediums for him, as the two remaining out in front are the only two left, as Lawson was the first to box off the hard compound tyres onto the mediums. He's currently in last at the moment, in 8th, the last of the runners. Still very close together as Gulas still trying to make his way through, but he's still not quite able to make an impression yet on that. As I noticed this, as Gulas seems to, he's been involved in, either had moments that have cost him in terms of getting points, and because I feel like without a few mistakes this season, I potentially think the Aston Martin driver could have been in an even more commanding position, as he's going to have the DRS here on the back of Bulk. Is there going to be a position made here? Is he finally going to get the position done? Is he going to go down the inside? No. He's still behind for the time being. The championship leader not able to clear that Red Bull of Bulk yet, as Bulk still holding on to the position. Still holding on there for dear life there, as Lawson and Jevy go side by side behind. Lawson trying to make a move around the outside as he gets the move done. Mediums versus hards, of course. The mediums will be the better tyre at the moment. Obviously Jevy will be able to just sort of sit in that position where he will be able to make a move later on, as Gulas once again very close, just a little bit further ahead. So we're going to go back to the battle for P7 as Lawson gets the move done on Jevy once again for the last running positions, 7th and 8th. Razam and Gent, the two Alpines, still continuing on their hards. They may well be going for the softs, I would think, if they're going this long, because they would have boxed, I think, for the mediums at some point, but one of the drivers obviously had to box after the other, so we'll have to see who ends up getting the short end of the stick. Unfortunately, Gent may end up getting that in this unfortunate case, as Asteria is bringing that gap down 5.8 seconds, and closing is that gap between second and third, between obviously 13-lap younger hard compound tyres, so that really is going to be a huge difference, as Gulas meanwhile just ahead. With DRS on the long straight is going to be making his way through. You can see Asteria there just ahead. That's actually, there's not really too much time lost, as there goes Gulas into 4th position. As Razam is the first to blink, he's going to go on to, I think Gent's picked up a 3-second himself, I think, coming out of that final corner. So unfortunately they're very easy to do, as Razam, is he going to go on to the mediums or is he going to go on to the softs? He's onto the mediums, so his teammate will probably be a next lap around, I would think, in the other Alpine. So 5 seconds is the gap now, and that gap is closing fairly quickly. 3.5 between Gulas and Asteria. Obviously we'll have to see if Gulas has the pace on these tyres in the next few laps, and see if he can catch up to the back of the American in the Williams, who inherited the lead of the Grand Prix, obviously, when the mistake was made, of course. Still a good position at the moment for Gulas, who's currently only down the 2 from where he qualified, obviously on pole position. Imperius 1.1 second gap in the qualifying session for Gulas, 3.4 the gap between the two of them. We'll come back to him in just a moment. It's Gustafsson and Razam, and Gustafsson trying to get past the second of the two Alpines, as he's just coming out of the pits, as Gustafsson has already done 4 laps on those hard compound tyres. He was on the earliest in, and I think he's just lost the back end. Oh, that is not ideal. That is an entire loss of front wing there for him, and that is a virtual safety car deployed. For he will have to go around, and we most likely will not see the safety car anymore. That's probably likely. They're going to be crucial to keep it within the delta here. You got to make sure that you do not speed, as this gives a chance for Gent to come into the pit lane, which I assume he's going to take. Yes, he is, because everyone is not at full racing speed, so this could be a great chance for the Alpine driver as he comes into the pit lane. Obviously we know Asteria will retake the lead of the Grand Prix, the Williams driver. Alpine into the pits for his one and only stop onto the medium compound tyres, and onto that he goes. Where's he going to come out? He's going to come out just behind his teammate, I do believe, in P5. Lawson with a penalty for track limits. I think, is he going to be able to come out ahead? Lawson is going to jump him, but he's going to be in P6. So he has made a couple of positions, even though he was out a little bit longer. It's 2.5 seconds between those two at the moment. That gap is definitely closing, as Gulas has got the bit between his teeth and is now looking to retake back the lead of the Grand Prix from the Williams driver up ahead of him. Will be pushing like a stabbed rat to try and get back within that range, of course. You can physically start to see him, as you can see Bulk in the background, 2.9 as well. Obviously with that penalty, as Gent and Lawson still continues. Gent on his fresh tyres. Notch just come out of the pits obviously this lap, and Lawson on 3 laps on those mediums already. Obviously Lawson's tyres might be a little bit closer in the end to potentially being in a little bit of trouble come the end of the Grand Prix. The gap is 2 seconds at the front, and that is closing very quickly. Gulas definitely with bit between his teeth as Jen is trying to use his battery to get close, as it looks like Lawson, he's trying to save a lot of battery here, not much probably in that Ferrari. Down the inside he goes, as Lawson going to try and send it back down the inside. Lawson leaves the space, and Gent leaves the space as well. Is Gent going to back out of this, or is he going to try and go side by side into this final corner? No, he decides to back out of it, so we'll stay on board once again. That's very wide there from Lawson as he heads out of that final corner, and once he does indeed yield the position to Gent, as the DRS does finish the job off for the Belgian driver as he goes into P5. So it's 4-5 at the moment for the Alpine team. Good points they will be looking at for that particular one as well, much like real life with the Brazilian Grand Prix, where one change of one sort of one double podium could say give them a lot of money, and apparently around about 30 million in prize money in real life. As Gent hopefully now looking to pull away, as Gulas is still on the hunt for Hysteria up ahead. We'll go back on board and see how the Aston Martin driver is doing up ahead. Got to be careful not to ride too much of those those curves and go ahead those white ones too much, as Bulk looks like there is going to be, he's not going to be looking at making a charge at the moment for those top two, as Gulas still 1.8 seconds and closing the gap. Looks like the ERS usages between the two of them, about half of that on the Aston Martin as to what there is on the half of the Williams, half so much on the Williams as what is in the Aston Martin drivers. What he has to use to his advantage. 1.5 the gap, and it's going to be closing very soon as we're on 10 to go here. Race that is absolutely flown by. As I say, only the one virtual safety car for the loss of front wing from Kostasar, who's currently down in 8th at the moment, as Lawson about 8/10 behind as well, just a little bit further back. Still not quite close enough for Razam with a fast lap of the Grand Prix, just 34.9. Then Gent does a 34.4 to claim that fast lap, currently in P5. Looking good for a good haul of points for the Alpine driver, as it still remains 1.1 seconds is the gap between these two, as Gulas still at the front, going back on board with him. Looking to try and see if he can rein in the Williams ahead. Overlap younger tyres on that Williams driver that Williams car could be a huge factor here come the end of the Grand Prix. Slightly less tyre wear could make the difference here for those, as he can. I think the Williams driver will be able to see that Aston Martin driver getting closer and closer in the rearview mirror and putting more and more pressure on the American driver behind the wheel there, being a much quicker version, I suppose, of Logan Sargent in a bit of a way. Would be interesting if he was actually in that car as well, in terms of that. As Gulas still 1.1, he's going to be probably within DRS next lap time around, as we're going to be coming on, I think, with 8 to go here in Shanghai. 1.2, he lost a little bit of time actually, as Gulas a little bit of a lock up there coming out of there. I think it just cost him about 0.2 of a second there from where he was, and he's now having to gain that back, as Razam's now within that 1 second detection zone of Bulk for what is P3, the final spot on the podium. Even without that, I think he would get the position due to the penalty that Bulk is currently carrying. Come back to that in just a moment. We'll see what Razam's currently doing in his pursuit to the American of Bulk, and Bulk still holding on to his position for the time being in P3, but for how much longer, I wonder, is this position going to be held on for, because that is looking very sort of precarious for the Red Bull driver, and position change I think is likely to come in that next detection zone. If he can remain close enough within half a second, should pretty much guarantee a move is made for the Alpine. This is the first of the two Alpines with Gent 4 seconds behind as well, so there could be potentially another position lost as well. There you can see the Alpine just in the background there. Gap has stabilised at the front at about 1.1 to 1.3 seconds. It's not quite able to quite get into that 1 second zone as Razam now with 3/10s back coming out of turn 13 as we head down towards turn 14 and 15 down the long back straight. DRS enabled. Down the inside goes the Alpine driver, and that is move done and dusted. Get nicely on the brakes, and that is position done. Let's see if there's any response from Bulk, but I don't know. On much older tires, I'm not sure if we're going to see much in the way of response, as I believe has Bulk pitted? Yes, he has. He's obviously going for a set of soft compound tires, I would think, with 7 to go here. Probably just about the range where you'll get the soft compound tires stay in. Now he's gone mediums, interestingly. He's decided to take sort of a safer strategy in this particular manner. As 1.11 second is the gap. 9/10s, he's got himself within that range. Mysterio will be, as you can see, what he'll be looking at from the rear. If he's looking back, you will see that Aston Martin driver getting closer and closer to the back of the Williams, and getting bigger and bigger and looming in the rear view mirror. The Williams driver will be having to look behind a lot more in this scenario. 8/10 of a second is the gap. As we come into what will be the closing laps of the Grand Prix, I believe, with 9 to go or 7 to go here, around about that range, around about there to go. To lap 21 of 28 here, as we're now heading down the main straight. It's not going to be this lap around for Gulas down the inside. He's going to have to stay behind for now. Opts to not send a Daniel Ricciardo inspired send down the inside. We'll lick the stamp and send it style, but we are going to see a move at some point soon. Obviously the championship leader here in tier 2, thinking probably very methodically, a bit like sort of a Prost sort of effect, where he's just doing what he needs to do, nothing more, nothing less really, in terms of gaining positions or what he needs to do as such. Obviously knowing the fact he doesn't have to push too hard. He has an 8-second gap to the car behind. Obviously we know Razam may well gain in these coming laps, but obviously with no DRS for the American in third place in the Alpine, it will be a little bit of a tough task, and we'll have to use a little bit more of the battery deployment to make up position in these remaining laps. And if he does indeed have enough time to make up the positions in the remaining laps, Bulk came back out in P7 after pitting for a new set of medium compound tires. Obviously had to pit very early for a new set of tires, as Gulas rather still is trying to pursue the leader of the Grand Prix Hysteria in the Williams NXA. Still only really in his second full outing here in the Williams car. Obviously got a podium last time out in Vegas and looking to keep that momentum going. What will it be though? Will it be a victory, or will it be second place here, as once again Gulas is not quite close enough to make his way through, and once again we'll be looking to make that move into the final corner. We're coming around again onto lap number 23. As we say, the lap times are indeed starting to definitely count down now here. Only 9 drivers I say tonight, but the drivers that have been here tonight have given us some great entertainment here tonight for the stream, as I say. If you do of course enjoy watching the streams as such, you can of course hit the follow button on this channel here for tier 2 coverage every Sunday. Unless they are races, of course. With only a few rounds left to go as well. I don't know what their plans are for upcoming seasons, of course. I don't know if they're doing another season in this game or not. But well, it'll be interesting to see the future developments of this in the coming season, if that is indeed the case. Focusing back on the racing at hand, still the same as we head on to the little straight between turns 10 and 11 and through the complex of 11 and 12 at sector 2 split. That is your DRS detection line there, and once again I think there's a little bit of a mistake there from Gulas. Is he wants, I don't know if he's maybe playing a little bit of a game here now with Hysteria and maybe wanting to make the move as late as per humanly possible, because if he makes the move, then it gives a chance for the driver in front, this being the Williams driver in this case, a chance to pull away, or not pull away, but rather get the DRS back. We'll say though, Razam, 7.3 behind, has gained a little bit. It was about 8 seconds. He's gained a little bit of ground. So at the moment, it's currently the Portuguese, one part of the Portuguese contingent is currently in an American sandwich at the moment. In terms of, we got an American in front of him in the Williams and an American behind him in the Alpine. Currently doing very well, of course, Razam at about mid-table in the driver standings, and Alpine in the fight for the fight, as I was talking at the beginning, for mid-table in constructors. So good points there for Alpine this week. Of course, SJV potentially could get a position, of course, off of Lawson. I think Lawson is carrying about 6 seconds of penalties. So I'm assuming we're going to potentially see a change for P5 at the end of this race, as we're on 4 to go here in China. Still, this battle on track is the main sort of attraction in the latter stages of the race, as Hysteria still continues to lead at around about half a second is the gap, and Gulas still playing a few games with the car ahead of him and trying to see how much pressure he can put on the car ahead. From where he is currently, about 7/10 of a second, letterbox once again will open on the back of that Aston Martin as he heads down the straight. Not sure, once again, he's choosing to sit behind for now. I think he's saving battery at the moment, maybe forcing us there to use a fair bit of his. Yes, he is, as Hysteria is now saving battery once again, of course, at about 20, looks like it's about 20-something% battery deployment for Hysteria there. Way less than what the Aston Martin driver behind has. Looks like that's just under half I'm looking at. If I go and look at that lap data, let me just bring that back up as well. Yeah, about 50%, just over, which is over half actually. It's still on board as Gent has come into the pits for one who's come to the pits to get fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but has he got some damage on that Alpine? We'll have a quick hold just to take a little bit of a break from that lead battle. So into the pits he comes, and no, there's no damage that he's just going for an set of medium. So that's an interesting one from Gent. He was looking at a good position, so I wonder why he's coming to the pits. We'll have to see on that one. I'm very curious to ask him after the race about why the Belgian driver was in the pits there, because he was looking in a really solid position. They're doing a one-stop strategy, maybe was not wanting to go onto those tyres perhaps. We'll have to see. Gent's going to come back out in P7 after all of that, as Gulas still leading, still second place, but still hunting down the back of the Hysteria, just ahead in the Williams. The Williams driver still holding his composure well though, as Hysteria obviously inherited the lead of the Grand Prix when that mistake was obviously made from Gulas at near the sort of beginning stages of this Grand Prix. Was looking very close between the two of them. Looks like Hysteria was just about holding on to the DRS before that mistake from Gulas in the early stages, but these two with about 6.7 seconds of a gap, and with them, these two fighting are not really making sort of no real sort of stonewall changes really, and it's kind of like a little bit of a sort of armistice really good. Well, not armistice, but a little bit of what is the word I'm trying to think of here, and it's not coming to my head. But a little bit of a stalemate. That was the word I'm trying to look for. But Gulas is of course still within that range, and Razam 6.6 behind. Not going to be enough to close, of course. Only 2 laps left to go, but the Alpine driver has, of course, as I say, Alpine still looking at good points, even with that late pit stop for Gent, of course. As we are going to be going on to the penultimate lap time next time around, and this is where you're soon going to be starting to see the potential mind games or DRS games being played here, as Hysteria's going to realise exactly what's going on here. Near enough a full battery for Gulas now, as Hysteria is still with about half the battery deployment of the Aston Martin driver behind, and when is the trigger, when is the metaphorical trigger going to be pulled here from Gulias trying to make his way through? Is it going to be on the final lap? Because he's going to realise exactly what is going on, as he's going to be very close. Is he going to do it now? Nope, once again, just sitting in behind. Decides to pull a bit for a brief second in terms of pulling out the slipstream, but remains in behind, and an R210s, or around about that, is brought out of the gap from Bayrazam, but yeah, indeed, did gain quite a bit there. But around about 3/10s actually, in terms of that last sector there. You can see the Alpine just in the background there, so if there is anything that does unfold in this penultimate lap, or the final lap, on 27 or 28, the Alpine driver will be right there to capitalise on that particular motion. As Jevy trying to make a move on what is now Lawson, as Lawson is maybe struggling on those tyres now, with 13 laps on those mediums, is maybe going to be feeling second best, as Jevy going to try and enable send down the inside. But the Aston Martin drivers, of course, both seem to be in the action today, as Gent with a 34.0, pretty much solidifying a fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Quite surprised they didn't go to softs if he was going to go for that fastest lap, of course. Half second at the front. Jevy still quite close to the back of Lawson. Lawson probably not with much deployment ahead himself. Have a quick look on board. Yeah, Lawson with not much deployment there in the Ferrari, of course. As we head onto the back straight once again, a little bit further back this time around, so not going to be much made there. Using a little bit of the battery now, we're going to start to see the potential uses of it. He's going to use the battery and probably stop when he gets to about here, I would think. He is, however, no, he's actually no, the games are now, he's definitely still not going for it yet, which means he is going to do the last lap special here to potentially try and make a move, as Jevy's about 8/10 behind as well in his battle for Lawson in P4. But this battle is what we're focusing on for what will be the final lap at the moment, as Jevy, I think, is going to make his way through on the back of Lawson. Lawson with not much deployment there. Is he going to go down the inside? Is there going to be a send down the inside? Is Lawson going to be able to make the apex there just a little bit wide from the Ferrari? Those tyres now definitely feeling second hand at this point on the Ferrari in front, as Jevy's trying to make a move, but still going to be just slightly out of position. I think it's going to be moves made on the final lap here. However, is Jevy going to try and go down the inside? He's going to be close. No, he's staying behind for the time being. He's just giving a little bit of a fake out there to the back of the Ferrari driver of Lawson, as we're going to see what's going on just a bit further ahead, as we're coming into what will be the last opportunity here. That's going to be, you're going to see all the ERS usage now as we're on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Has Gulas got enough time? Can he gain enough ground? He looks like he's lost a little bit of time here, having to maybe use a little bit of Asterios. They're about the same now in the battery deployment front, so it's going to be very close to see, as we're going to go and look at the rear from Hysteria. You can see him there. We're going to see how close this Aston Martin driver actually does get behind, as here we go for the final time down the 1 kilometre long back straight. Who's it going to be as we head through towards the final sequence for 14, 15 and 16? Very close, but I think he's not close enough. I think he was closer last lap. Is there going to be a move down the inside? No, he's not close enough. Is he going to be able to send it as we go into the final corner? Battery switched off for just a brief moment there for Hysteria. Is he going to be able to hold on to race victory here? I think he's just going to hold on. Gulas tried playing the games, and I don't think it's quite worked for him, but it is going to be race victory here for Hysteria. So great little finish there for him. Race victory. Rassam in the end got the gap down to 6 seconds, as we got a yellow flag in the background. I think that someone had the moment. That was Castasor, I think. Is down the inside goes Jevy. However, Lawson's managed to come back at him. Is Bulk going to be also involved as well? Look at this from the point of view of the Red Bull driver just behind. There's a little bit of contact, a little bit down there. There's a little bit of front wing loss. I think that was from Lawson's car, and I think Jevy's going to keep fourth position, and Bulk in the end moves up to 5th, and Lawson will finish in 6th position. Gent finishing, coming home across the line in 7th, and finally coming across the line to complete what was effectively not the best of races for him after the front wing loss, pretty much sealing the fate of his race. It is Castasor coming across the line, well, coming to the final corners, coming through 15 and now into 16. Yeah, the final corner here. The final runner to cross the line, the Greek driver to the line, and he's going to be the final runner across the line. And that, as they say, is that for this race. Great little bit of battle. There's Jimmy picks up Driver of the Day award. So we'll have to see in that one. I don't know if I think I may have forgotten to give one last week. I don't know. Because as they're not amused, he is immediately out of here. Am I going to see the podium celebration again? No, I'm not. This is an ongoing glitch, I think, which is real fun. So I'm not going to see that. Your results indeed are on screen, so unfortunately, no podium celebrations for the CBAC. But on that basis, we're going to give Driver of the Day award to Jimmy in the end. So great results there for him on his Driver of the Day. It does eventually come up, so there we are, Sisteria with his race victory, Gulas in second, and Raza making it a double American podium. Well done to both those drivers. Actually, we'll see what driver did in just a second. I think most likely we'll give it to the Aston Martin driver. It was there on screen. We'll have to see in just a moment as they celebrate with the champagne. Well done to the podium finishers, finish where they were, obviously, as we will see who was the best finisher in the end. No, we won't. Anyway, so yeah, my Driver of the Day will of course stand. It will be Jevy picking up Driver of the Day award. Congratulations to the Portuguese driver on that particular one. I just wish I could actually see the standings in the end, so yeah. Anyway, so that has been a very enthralling Chinese Grand Prix here for round number 12 here at the for PGS Tier 2. Next week we head to the Algarve for Portimao, so we will see how the actual drivers get on next time round in Portugal, as that should be another interesting race with where you can potentially make moves as such. And so we will see you next time out back in Portugal, and looking forward to the home race of the championship leader and his fellow teammate as well. Yeah, thank you very much as well. I appreciate the gesture as well in the chat there from yourself there, Jevy. Anyway, we're going to round off there, and we will see you in the Algarve next time out next Sunday.